On today's show, we get an update from Kingston 300 on community conversations. Make a deliciously decadent lobster salad on Delicious and Nutritious. Hear original poetry and shine a light on local with two grannies on the road.
And if you're looking to learn or just have some fun, we'll also be talking about classes, programs, and upcoming things to do in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, and Duxbury.
We are glad you're here. Let's get started. We invited Ken Brack, Jan Guidaboni, and Tom Vendetti to our set to talk about the town of Kingston, which enters its tricentennial year in 2026. Here's Community Conversations.
Hi, my name is Ken Brack. I'm one of the Kingston 300 Book Project Directors. We're excited to have you here with us. To my right is Jan Guidaboni, the town historian, and to my left, Tom Vendetti. We'll introduce ourselves a little bit in a moment, but we want to tell you about this wonderful book that's coming out on the advent of the town's 300th incorporation in 2026. The book will be available Thanksgiving, knock on wood, and our first event is planned for November 29th, that Saturday, from noon to 3 at the Font School. We'll tell you about some other events coming up. But the book is a fresh, illustrated history of the town, chock full of compelling people and events and characters, and a new spotlight on some of the earlier events in the town's histories and primary people, as well as a lot on the last 100 years. Various family stories of immigrant generations who've come through, multi-generational businesses, and beyond. One of the treasures of the book is that we've had significant contributions from many of your friends, relatives, and neighbors. About 150 people have contributed their family narratives, anecdotes, and a lot more. The book is highly visual, incredible photography. You're going to see some of it here, and you will definitely see it at our events. Our project photographer is local, Ed Newt, and we had an incredible design team and others that you'll hear about. Let me turn it over to Jan, if she'd like a little introduction.
I'm Jan Guidaboni, and Kingston's my hometown, so this has really come to heart. I've learned some new things about Kingston's history, going way back to the very beginning, 300 years, and it's all proven interesting. It's told in a manner, it's history, but it's not the typical history book. It's told in the voice of the participants who've shared their stories with us. It's really, and wonderful photography.
Thanks, Jan. And Tom?
Well, my name is Tom Vendetti, and I've been living in Kingston for a little over 30 years. And I'm a retired school teacher. I spent 40 years in Brockton. And my hobby is history. I'm a member of the Kingston Historical Commission, and I'm the archivist of First Parish Church. And it has been my pleasure to work with Jan and Ken putting this book together. I think you'll enjoy it.
Briefly about myself, I'm a member of the Kingston Historical Commission and a relatively new, very amateur history buff alongside Jan and Tom and others. And the book and putting this together is so compelling, and it's really a celebration. As our editor Jim Farrell has said before, this is the people's book. As Jan said, it's story-driven, and with just one thing briefly that I've enjoyed is just reading the accounts of people who want to share maybe their family's story of a great-grandparents or whatever, to make sure that their grandchildren and the generations to come will have that. So that's a really fulfilling part of this. About the book itself. It's $35 pre-holiday sale price. It's available in various ways. People can buy it by cash, check, credit card machine that we'll have at our events. Also online through our secure site with givebutter.com, and orders have been underway since the beginning of November there. Shipping and handling estimate for those who want to ship to a relative or friend out of state is about $17, and you can do that on the website. We will do the packaging and shipping ourselves. There is no sales tax for the book because we are tax exempt. We set up as a nonprofit, so hopefully that helps too. We're very proud to be able to share the book at this discounted price through the holidays, and going into 26 as the multiple celebratory events that the Kingston 300 Committee is organizing. We plan to be at those events offering books, whether it's the gala at the very end of January, I think it's the 31st, going into the summer, of course, and the many events of that year. Jan and Tom, would you like to share some of your favorite sections or parts of the book? The book has 11 major sections.
I know right off my favorite section is the neighborhoods, because it's the individual neighborhoods that make up a town. And over again, we heard everyone knew everybody else. Everybody cared for everyone. And that was the kind of flavor. And it hasn't changed since I grew up. And it's still there. There was all section of town, the Indian Pond area, the seaside, which is down the southern end of town, and then the center. Of course, the center had more history than some of the other neighborhoods, but each neighborhood had its own history, and especially the seaside area with the influx of the immigrants in the 20s. It was makes such an interesting story. It's, you know, we went back to the Pilgrim era, but it's a mixture of all the story. That was my favorite section.
Tom?
Well, my favorite section or sections or articles would have to do first and foremost with people who lived in town as children, and remembering back at the wonderful things that they experienced, the things that they saw, just being neighborly and feeling secure in town, how much they loved it. It's very meaningful to me, being basically a transplant. My next favorite part is a part that actually I researched and wrote myself. When I first came to town, I noticed the town seal had a ship on it. It said Independence. And I thought that meant, well, you know, the revolution, independence, that it was, you know, kind of a patriotic kind of symbol. But then I found out that it really was a boat that was built here during the revolution called the Independence. And I had the fun of doing some research and finding some primary source material and wrote the story of the boat, at least as far as I could determine. So it was a lot of fun, and doing the book has actually been a pleasure. I think we've all enjoyed it very much.
I'll add that this is less about a section, rather it's more a theme, or how we base the book and the title, I'm sorry, Tales of Jones River Village, Kingston's 300 Years. That's the name of the book. We'll say that again. But the book is based or anchored, if you will, on life on the Jones River and how the town grew. And the river really kind of runs through the whole book. And toward the end, there's a section on the way people, especially in the past 40 years or so, the efforts to restore what was a partially degraded environment and bringing the river back, and marine life, and the efforts underway and the complexities of that. So right when we started, I think Jan pointed out this, we need to begin here.
It's what we have. It's what makes us different than some other communities that don't have the ocean, don't have a river to go to. And maybe we didn't appreciate it enough, but it's part of the livelihood. You go up Route 3A today, and you go across it a number of times. Sometimes you don't notice it, but it's there. It flows. It's changed since I was a child, for sure. I mean, up at the Elm Street when they took down the dams, and it's something I found out that I didn't know was that they dammed the river for part of the year and then took the dam away when they needed the water for agriculture. So the grist mill ran while the dam was up, but when the dam was removed, there was no mill there. It was the water was used for agriculture. So the river is there. It's very important.
And it's very beautiful too.
It is.
People are very lucky in town to be able to come along and enjoy the river
It's
in
right
the
in your
different
backyard.
seasons. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And the animals that live there, you know, it's extraordinary. It's like a corridor of nature.
It's a corridor. Yeah, perhaps share a little bit about the process of writing the book. But first, just to let viewers know some events, and we are publicizing these, you know, throughout. After the launch, community launch on the 29th, that Saturday, the Font School is mentioned, noon to 3, plenty of books there and presentations. The next week or so, very busy. On December 2nd, we will be at the Senior Center, 11 o'clock, before lunch, and have a presentation there. Then on the 4th, at 42nd Brew Company on Summer Street, really happy to have a kickoff event with the town's 300th committee, who've been terrifically supportive, and a number of other entities we'll try to mention as well have been. Then that weekend on Saturday, the 6th, at the Silver Bells Fair at First Parish at Sampson Hall in the Beale House. The books will be sold there, and Mr. Vendetti and others be around. And there'll be other events where people can pick up their books to be announced. We'll try to keep it fluid and of course, be accessible.
So if you order the books online, then you can pick up the books at any one of these events.
Yes.
Have them there.
Yeah. And our process, briefly, about 5 years in the making.
Doesn't seem possible.
And just a great volunteer team, and also professional editing, and the designer, as I mentioned before. Many of you will know and admire Sia Stewart, former library director, has been our copywriter and just a tremendous ally throughout. We have very many people to thank. There's a lot of gratitude that goes in and is acknowledged. In the book, the Kingston business community has been terrific. The town, from the town clerk's office, the Veterans Services Office, the Board of Selectmen, have been, you know, partly the wind at our backs.
Proud to share their stories.
Yeah.
Yep. And we have had many contributions from people and businesses who have helped make this book possible. And it's going to be a very beautiful publication. I think you'll enjoy it.
Are there other elements you'd like to, or maybe a particular family story?
Well, I like the story of the whale. Everybody said it's not true, but it is. A whale washed up on Ardina, and it lay there for a while because no one knew what to do with it. And in all town decisions, it takes a while, and this one took an exceedingly long time to make the decision as what we're going to do with this. Big equipment had to be brought in, and I mean, it had to be removed, of course. And so they finally moved it, and we had one of the original kettle areas was up underneath where Stop and Shop is today, and it was being used for the town dump at the time, and that's where the tail of the whale ended, was up under the parking lot at Stop and Shop. So it's a nice story. But
whether you're new to town or several generations have been here, you're going to discover a lot of new elements. There's there's a lot in the 1900s, you know, whether it's the story of the Kingston Drive-In or the Dairy Queen signs that Ollie D. Macedo had up, or Tassie's, Charlie Horse Restaurant, the Vicerello family with Mamma Mia's, etc., Colonial Saw, just people all around us and what they've done and how they may find some meaning from that.
There's a set of steps, granite steps, right across the street from the Adams Center. And they go nowhere, apparently, but they did go to what we call the Lottery House, and I'm not going to tell any more about it, but it was a lottery house. But people go by those stairs and they don't realize that they don't go anywhere today, but they did at one time. Yeah. And all the sidewalks and the granite works were where the old hotel used to be. That's another place that people don't realize that was there. Very prominent, very active. Lots of stories about the Kingston Inn.
We'll be sharing more word on the book through local Kingston Facebook pages, including our own with many posts, other social media. I do want to make sure we thank Nicholas Catullus and the archives and the Kingston Public Library, Director Donald Colon, have been tremendous support. Nick, every step of the way. For one, and a last reminder, perhaps if we have time, the book is throughout the holidays for sale at $35. Tales of Jones River Village, Kingston's 300 years. We're so glad to bring this out for the whole community.
If you'd like to learn more about this project, visit their website at kingston300book.com.
Queer chef Tony Ortiz has talked about how bonds with chosen family can be deeper than blood because they are built on shared identity and a mutual understanding that family can be not just a noun, but also a verb. Cook up your favorite dish to share with found family at the Cal Pride Potluck Dinner. The table will be a rainbow of delicious food, the conversation nourishing. Registration through the Center for Active Living is appreciated, however, feel free to drop in. All are welcome.
And now, let's turn a light on local. Part of our mission as a media center is to welcome members of the community into our studios to record their own show or podcast about subjects that matter to them. The resulting content reflects the diversity of thought and opinion in our neighbors and neighborhoods, but not necessarily the views of the local scene board, staff, or director. We are a platform for free speech. Two Grannies on the Road is a long-time and popular show recorded all over Massachusetts with resources provided by the local scene and produced by Beth Sobeloff and Marcia Rothwell. Here's a clip.
The beautiful town of Mashpee is on the south coast of Cape Cod between Falmouth and Barnstable. It was first settled by the English in 1660, but wasn't incorporated until 1870. However, the land was occupied by the Mashpee Wampanoags for thousands of years before that. Mashpee's population is about 15,000 on 27 square miles of land. It has a small amount of coastline compared with most towns on Cape Cod.
I am here with Pam at Cape Cod Coffee, and I am excited to learn how it started and how it's grown.
Yeah. It's grown. Well, thank you both for being here today. My husband and I purchased it in September of 2015. At the time, all they did was roast, and it was about a mile down the street. And they had 3 employees when we purchased the company. We're now, almost 10 years. This summer, September will be 10 years. And we're now at, in the summer, we're like 150 employees.
Wow, that's huge.
150 employees, so we still roast. We roast here. We moved to this facility in 2019.
Right at COVID? During COVID?
Right during COVID. We started building in 2019. We actually moved in here in November of 2020. We had purchased the business down there. So it was started in 1970. By a gentleman who was a 3rd-generation coffee grower producer from Kenya. And he had it, and he brought it to Salem in 1970 company brought it to Cape Cod in '86.
And what was it named up in Salem? It wasn't
It was Cape Cod Coffee, but it was Cape Cod Coffee, and then it was purchased in 2011, unfortunately in bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And the roasters who bought it, or the gentleman, he was a real estate mogul here on the Cape, him and his daughters bought it, and they named it Cape Cod Coffee
Okay.
Roasters.
Roasters. Okay.
Yep, and then we purchased it in, like I said, 2015. And then we dropped the name Roasters and just kept it as Cape Cod Coffee and trademarked it.
If you like what you saw, find more of Two Grannies on the Road on Xfinity Channel 6 or Verizon 43. Or visit our community producers YouTube channel at Community on the Local Scene.
75% of falls reported by senior citizens each year happen at home and can lead to debilitating injury. Preserve your equilibrium with Steps to Safety, a program hosted by the Duxbury Senior Center on Wednesday, December 3rd, and led by Duxbury firefighters and paramedics John Rhoda and Kirsten Piper. John and Kirsten will walk you through methods and tactics to avoid falling at home and provide information on fire prevention. The program starts at 10:30 a.m. Register via the Duxbury Senior Center's website or call 781-934-5774.
Paula Marcoux, food historian and author of Cooking with Fire, will lead December's free first Saturday tour of Burial Hill, titled Home for the Holidays, Festive Occasions and Family Gatherings. As you visit the markers of past Plymouth residents, Marcoux will explore how local traditions and holidays were celebrated in the 18th and 19th centuries. The tour begins at the top of Burial Hill at 1 p.m. on December 6th, and no registration is required. Comfortable shoes and weather-appropriate wear are, though. Prepare to walk some uneven terrain on scenic but grassy hills.
Let's stop in with Tom and Jerry, where Chef Jerry Levine whips up a lovely lobster salad.
How are we going to serve this? I personally like the lobster just coming out of its cooking phase, put on a plate, and you go after it with a nutcracker. That to me is the way I happen to like it. Now some people like it in a salad, some people like it in a roll. Just remember one thing, is that whatever you can do with a crab, you can do with a lobster. So you can make wonderful salads. So, all right, let's make a lobster salad. We've got a few things here. This is lemon juice, Dijon mustard, country style, of course. A little fresh dill. Oh, does that smell good? Some mayo. Celery. Lobster meat. Next thing we do is we stir. And we're taking some butter, melted butter, and we're going to put it on our lobster roll. And we're now putting our lobster salad into our lobster roll. Our melted butter. And why do we have melted butter? Because there's a whole pile of people out there that like to have their lobster with melted butter. And my wife is one of them. So, we now have here steamed lobster, melted butter, lobster salad, lobster roll, and I've got a smiling face, which means that I'm happy about this. And I want to call up my producer, Tom. And Tom is the guy that runs the cameras and the lights and does all of the technical things, like all the editing.
Well, you know, I've never eaten bugs before, but I guess I'm going to try.
Give it a shot. Is it good?
No, it's delicious.
Okay, well, maybe I should try some of that.
It's better than good.
The Saturday before Thanksgiving will once again see America's hometown bursting with the energy of Thanksgiving and its annual Thanksgiving Parade. There will be a 9 a.m. opening ceremony at Pilgrim Memorial State Park on Water Street, followed by the parade kickoff from Plymouth Rock at 10 a.m. The floats, bands, and marchers will parade from Water Street to Main Street, traveling down Court Street to end at Benny's Plaza at 179 Court Street. You'll also want to visit Brewster Gardens from 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., where it will be transformed into America's hometown holiday village. That means a plethora of fun family activities, a petting zoo, live music, craft vendors, and rumor has it, a special appearance by a jolly bearded guest with lots of holiday spirit. We'll call the waterfront Food Truck Alley, where a variety of local establishments will be serving up delicious and globally influenced comestibles. It doesn't stop there. Come back to the waterfront on Sunday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. when the Harvest Market will offer a cornucopia of local produced meats, fresh produce, herbs, eggs, and more. Perfect for your upcoming Thanksgiving feast. And don't miss the Plymouth Philharmonic's performance at Memorial Hall at 7 p.m. on Friday, November 21st to start your weekend of celebratory events. For more information on Thanksgiving events, visit cplymouth.com.
Follow the voices of festive carolers and a yummy cookie trail throughout downtown Plymouth's waterfront district for the holiday stroll, happening December 5th and 6th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. and on December 7th from 3 to 6 p.m. Holiday magic will be lighting up the waterfront the whole weekend, with businesses extending their hours, Christmas carolers walking the streets, and the opening of Light the Night in Brewster Gardens at 4:30 p.m. on the 5th. And of course, not to be missed is the town Christmas tree lighting, opening the season of festivities in a twinkling display of spirit and splendor.
The Alden House in Duxbury, once the home of Mayflower passengers John and Priscilla Mullins Alden and generations of their descendants, is a perfect way to spend the weekend after Thanksgiving, transitioning into the holiday spirit. On Saturday, November 29th, visit this historical house between 12 and 3 p.m. for an informative and guided tour. Sunday, November 30th rings in Holly Days, the community-wide festivity that decks the halls of the Alden House with gorgeous holiday decor and invites you to enjoy dipping candles and crafting colonial ornaments. 18th century reenactor Stacy Booth will be demonstrating popular colonial holiday foods and customs at the Alden Hearth. No reservations are required for either day's activities. The Alden House is located at 105 Alden Street in Duxbury.
The most meaningful holiday decorations are ones that you make yourself. On Wednesday, December 10th, the Plymouth Public Library's craft room will be a scene of crafting adults creating a scene. From 11:30 to 1 p.m., join other crafty adults in creating your own snowy house luminaria, a mixed media art lesson that will guide you through making a peaceful, cozy winter scene that includes a glowing paper house nestled among soft, fleecy trees. The magical luminaria you create will be the perfect decor to display for your holiday guests. Registration will be open on December 1st. Visit the library's website to sign up.
A perfect selection for the season, the Pembroke Public Library's December book club read is Time of the Child by Niall Williams, a soul-nourishing novel about the small Irish town of Faha and its Christmas season transformation. Set in 1962, this story of despair and spiritual redemption unfolds in a way that is both realistic and mythical as it weaves through the weeks leading to Christmas. The Guardian calls the book a slow-burning, finely crafted novel about second chances, humanity, and familial love that rewards close reading. Adding that Williams' descriptive language is extraordinary, his use of understatement and irony artfully deployed, his characterization sublime. New members are always welcome to join, and you can request a copy of the novel beforehand by calling the library at 781-293-6771.
Here's poet Marin Rutledge in a reading of her original work.
Good evening. My name is Marin Rutledge, and I'm going to read from my first book, Sweet Juice and Ruby Bitter Seed, and a few poems from the book that will come out next spring, both from Kelsey Books, which I'm very grateful to. The first poem is Serendipity, and in this poem I try to solve a problem in a very unsystematic way. So, if you are a methodical person, this poem may drive you nuts. You may even want to cover your ears. Serendipity. After unsuccessfully Googling my problem, the milky film on my dishwasher walls, I was leafing through the Kenmore manual and poking my head in my appliance to eyeball what was on the parts list when the word filters caught my eye. You're supposed to clean the filters? Who knew? I just moved in and reading directions isn't my thing. Back inside the machine, under the bottom rack where I didn't think anybody but Kenmore Repair would ever stick their head, I sought to plumb the mystery of where the filters hid. I found the handle of a paring knife, rusty and unmanned by the loss of its blade, a crusty dime that raised questions about what the previous homeowners ate, and sea glass, sanded smooth by spinning washer blades and lodged between two dirty filter screens. After scrubbing each one with an old toothbrush I found under the sink, I climbed back on the web where I located a product called Finish that promised to remove a mineral film. I felt hopeful, like when you're nearing the end of a long board game and you look up to find the rain that kept you indoors has stopped, so you can go for a walk around the lake where mysteries are not for solving, like how a whirl makes drying leaves pirouette on toe point, and how, just before it slips away, the slanting sun flares to burnish a stand of yellowing beach to gold. Also from the book, this is a prose poem, so maybe some of you can see that it's arranged as paragraphs. And I was inspired by reading an essay by Joy Harjo, that wonderful poet, who said in the essay, "I'm convinced that most waywardness is creativity turned backwards." She's speaking of the imprisoned men to whom she taught creative writing. Bad boys. Cousin Daryl told whoppers his dad called lies. Snapping turtle big as a tire wheel. Big old water moccasin thick as my daddy's arm. The sting at the end of his father's arm didn't change much about his voluble son. As a grown man, the fish Daryl catches are invariably huge, and Montana, where he got rich selling houses, is the best place to live in the whole US of A. My brother Kyle started kicking holes in doors when he was 3. In school, he didn't sit still, raise his hand, or read. Kyle told me one time, after a teacher conference, Mon broke down crying in the parking lot. He watched her shoulders heave, but felt he couldn't do anything for her because he really had failed everything but recess. After trying one thing and another, our parents sent him to wildlife camp, where he learned scads of bird species from just hearing their calls. Dr. Kyle still has trouble reading, but he likes listening to his patients and birdsong. Now turning to my book that will come out in the spring, the title is To Carve a Path Through Thickets. And it comes from the poem that opens the book, which is dedicated to my father, whose name was Lloyd Lafayette. But Southerner that he was soon nicknamed Fate. setting out. He left home with a cast iron skillet, matches, a little flour, lard, and Boyd Vidal Curtis Caldwell, who would follow him anywhere. Joining them were 3 classmates ripe for adventure. Fate had been reading Thoreau, whose experiment he aimed to adapt to wilder conditions in the Ozarks. Used to woods and solitary work, Fate imagined he had already tasted a little of the marrow of life the Walden man was after. Miss Troy, the teacher who brought him the Concord sages, also confirmed that you had to reflect on your experiences in order to effect a deepening. Then there was no telling what would unfold. The boys hiked as the long spring day unspooled. By the time they decided they were far enough from the one-street hamlet of their civilization, they were famished. Gnarly blackberry patches nearby, and the bears had left some. The boys built a fire and baked a gooey cobbler, juice turning to candy from a little scorching. As dusk swooped in, Fate invited the others to think about what becoming a leader would entail. Void guffawed, chiding his friend for staying so serious. Fate grinned and eased up in favor of owl entertainment. Lying down beside the others, it came to him that this was what he wanted to do: guide boys and girls on adventures, like how to feed a firelit soul and carve a path through thickets that lay between them and being grown. In the meantime, he determined to stay awake with the creatures stirring around him, watching for ways to venture into the dark. In the next one, another one of my faults, besides unsystematic thinking, is loss of perspective. This is called perspective, where I seek to get it back. Fed up with fretting over taxes and email that stings and the slow drip of words that pool in my mind, I take a walk to find what is bigger. Lining my street, svelte young sycamores sashay like models down a runway. Older trees, fat, knuckled, speckle-barked, willingly upstaged. Their own limbs seem to whistle, though, like piercing piccolos. Warblers serenade the village of tall townhouses that hum with stories of neighbors' lives. Carols, too, and Paul's and Susan's, who, when they died, left themselves here among us other elders with careers, grandkids, travel. Joys, struggles, sorrows, some greater than mine. In the far field, with the marsh beyond, looms the blunt-nosed boulder, Moby Dick, big as a barge, and how deep under? The sky, brushed with cirrus clouds, whispering possibility. Rain coming, my next-door neighbor confirms as I walk back up my driveway. Millions of raindrops will shower the estuary's long neck as it winds toward the illimitable sea. Finally, somewhat in the spirit of the intergenerational poems that you were reading, Ariel, and not motherhood in this case, but grandmotherhood. This is called Gift. A friend's gait is wobbly. Another one has worn out knees. Mine creaky as I trot beside my grandson, Marcel. Why are your teeth black? He wants to know. Tea stains I can hardly see. Still, I know myself better now. how to let go of small slights, how to catch the thief inside who tries to snatch my self-esteem, how to touch serenity by naming daily blessings as I tap each bead on the large bangle Marcel created as a toddler, generously threading bright plastic on a pipe cleaner. He evidently thought the stiff hoop would fit my grown-up wrist, thin, eroding tracery. Or maybe he saw but imagined me anyway, sturdy and always. When I was raising his mother, all the unlovely imperfect I threw away. Macaroni necklaces, crooked origami, a coat hanger bearded with yarn. Now, love's ambitious project, I save. This is it. And I now actually use it as my prayer beads every night. Thank you for listening.
In collaboration with Fable Vision Studios, Plymouth Patuxent Museums has launched an interactive online experience inviting you to uncover how the 1620 Mayflower Compact laid the foundation for the democratic principles that shaped this country. You are the historian. Investigating the Mayflower Compact is interactive. Through an imaginative time travel narrative, you'll assume the role of an employee at a futuristic travel agency, tasked with repairing a disrupted historical tour of the Mayflower's voyage. This game for players of all ages encourages critical thinking about how cooperation, compromise, and civic responsibility have shaped both early colonial society and modern democracy. You Are the Historian. Investigating the Mayflower Compact is available now at plymouth.org/YATH, offering free access for teachers, students, and lifelong learners everywhere.
On Saturday, December 6th, stay warm and cozy as you sip and stroll at the Kingston Collection. Featuring over 175 vendors, there'll be live music with Jacob Gervais, food trucks, and local restaurants outside near Setting the Space, face painting, and the bartending service of New England, providing the sip to your stroll. Admission is free and the stroll runs from 12 to 4 p.m.
Catherine Newman, the acclaimed best-selling author of Sandwich, will be at the Duxbury Senior Center on Tuesday, December 2nd for a luncheon and book discussion centered around her new book, Wreck. A sequel, NPR describes Wreck as being funnier, yet also more earnest in its explorations of life's fundamental impermanence. The Boston Globe describes it as a novel that is filled with and powered by a winning blend of pathos and humor, and a bittersweet gem of a book. The luncheon starts at 1 p.m. and is only $15, and the author talk is free. To register or get more information, visit the Duxbury Senior Center's website at duxburyseniorcenter.org or give them a call at 781-934-5774. And that, my friends, wraps this episode of The Local Scene this week. Thank you for watching.
If you live or work in Plymouth, Pembroke, Kingston, or Duxbury and would like to have your own show or podcast, you should. Email community@thelocalscene.media to find out about our free production services and training for community members.
And if you have a story or event you'd like people to know about, email us at story@thelocalscene.media.
We thank our patrons Tiny & Sons, Quintal Brothers, and Squinny's Pizza for supporting our mission of community in action through media.
The Local Scene this week will be back next week with more of what's good and good to know in our area. Until then, we'll see you on The Local Scene. So friend, if you enjoyed this video, please think about scanning the QR code and making a contribution to the local scene. Every dollar is appreciated, and your support helps keep community media alive and our resources free to the community. We'll see you on the local scene.